everyone. I am here today with Mr. William Mapp. Oh, this man does everything. I don't know how he does all the things he does, but he has now pursued starting a comic book. So we're here today to talk about his newest opportunity. But let me give you a little bit of background about Mr. Mapp. But first, sir, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Hey, how you doing? And thanks for having me.
Okay, so y'all, William Mapp is an author, a game designer, and a technologist. He makes award-winning games, writes informational books, and invents advanced technologies. Will is a creative and enjoys telling stories and sharing information. His mission in life is to help people win by encouraging collaboration, communication, and compassion. That's what I like to hear. So, oh my goodness. So you do a lot of different things. So how did you decide to be a game designer, a technologist, and an author?
So I guess the first thing is that I got my first computer when I was 7. I was one of those kids who knew Bill Gates or who he was. I didn't know him, but I knew who he was. And I've been writing programs of some sort since I was 7 years old. So I've had a very long, deep love for computing. I've named my computers over the years. I'm one of those types of people. And one of the first programs I wrote once I really learned how to code was a game when I was 7. It was a really cheesy paddle game that I wrote. And then as I got older, I actually started building games on paper. And so I would actually use like notebook paper, and it was like Command and Conquer except on paper. And that was when I was in middle school. So it's always been in my spirit to build games, and part of that is storytelling.
So what was the name of your first game?
Oh, the cheesy paddleball thing had no name at all. And then the game on paper, it was just called War. Like you had different, weapons. You had a terrain that you would sketch out on a map, and then it was turn-based, and you had to move around on the map and show where you were moving. And it was fun. I had kids in school playing it, with me, and we would spend lunchtime playing War, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it.
Now, I'm going to ask a question you may find to be offensive. What was the first coding language that you used? Because that's how we date ourselves, by telling coding language.
So the first one, it was GW Basic. Ooh. I had a TRS Trash 80 from Radio Shack, and I have dated myself. You can do the math at this point. So, so there you go.
Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore, right?
You can't even buy batteries from Radio Shack anymore because they're not around.
Wow. So as you progressed and learned how to code and learned new things, you were saying you named your computers. What's the sexiest name you gave your machine?
Oh, she was called Veronica.
Veronica, see? I knew it was a girl. I knew it, y'all. I could tell. So, Veronica. So you typically name your computers after women, or?
Yeah. I would give them a custom paint job too. Yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay. This is informative. So,
yeah.
You've written games. You work in technology. At one point in time, you probably were employed by someone. What made you begin to follow your path of your passions for yourself? What was your fuck it moment where you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna work for me.
Yeah. So like I said, when I was a kid, I would get PC Magazine, and I would put them under my pillow, and Gates would be on the cover. And so when I was a kid, I wanted to be him. Like I wanted to be Bill Gates. And so being an entrepreneur and owning my own company was something that was planted as a very small seed earlier on. And then I worked for a telecommunications company, and I hated it. Like we couldn't make personal phone calls on our own cell phones in the place. And so there came a day where I texted a friend of mine, and I was like, I want to stab myself in the eye. And this was like 6 months before I got married. And I said, fuck it. And so I started my started my second company with a business partner, with another woman. And from there, the rest is kind of history. It's we've done some big projects. I've spoken around the world, a couple of patents here and there. I led an all-girls team to win a congressional app challenge for a game a couple of years ago. And so we're kind of, it's a lot of stuff. I've done a bunch of stuff, and it's kind of crazy.
Wow. Well, now I'm going to harass you for a second because you're here today to talk about a comic book that you recently created under your own imprint, Asterisk Comics. And your comic book is, I mean, y'all, I gotta just, like, the graphic on this is so cute. It is a woman of color, and the name of your comic is called Antidote.
Yeah.
Tell the listeners a little bit about her.
Yeah. Marty is a little bit of a badass. So I've had the characters. There's two contemporaries in the comic. Martinique Daines, who is a journalist by day, and really she is a true social justice warrior, if you wanted to call one. She actually stands in the way when women need avengement where other institutions just don't fall into place. And so the two contemporaries, Martinique Daines and Jessica Gray, they kind of work on two different sides of the spectrum, but they both have this mentality that, you know, sometimes doing the right thing requires the wrong actions. And so they are anti-heroines. Like ultimately they want the good result, but sometimes the institutions just don't work and they have to step in and do things themselves.
Wow. Okay. So you have written a badass female-based comic. How can women know that they can trust you, that you did the woman justice, or, you know, how can we trust you in this climate right now of, you know, men, you know, over sexualizing women and things of that nature?
Right. So, oh man, this might be sounding a little personal, but so I kind of grew up around badass women, like I did. Like my grandmother had a master's degree, taught school. She was the breadwinner in my family, and I had my father and my mother still together, and my grandparents still together. And like I've been surrounded by really strong women who have really strong personalities, and I credit my aunts for a lot of my sex talk too. so I got a lot of that. I just hung around a bunch of women who just, you know, were pretty badass. They were bad bitches, and so you know, with the comic, you know, I kind of wanted to showcase a light on bad bitchery. Like my wife is a bad bitch, you know, and that's kind of like how it plays.
Okay.
And so for the comic itself, we've gone back and forth. Like I change lines, just to be straight up with you. Like does that, would that be something that sounds right coming from this voice? And the comic not only has strong women characters, but there's an LGBTQ element in the comic as well. And so I sent it out for test reading. Like I got the comic test read by people from, you know, alternate backgrounds, different lifestyles, to make sure I got it right. And so I think that, you know, people who actually enjoy good storytelling, this is also a DC comic. Like you will see recognizable landmarks in this comic. You know, we took time to get the jumbo slice in Adams Morgan right, you know, and so it is a DC comic, and I'm hoping that we can explore the culture that you see in DC as well.
Nice. So you made Washington D.C. the home base of the comic. Is this where home is for you?
I'm actually a country kid from Virginia, one stoplight.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm from the Eastern Shore of Virginia, but I've been a bunch of places and I've traveled a bunch of places. And DC is a great town. People are always inventing themselves in DC. And my wife is Southeast DC, Rayful Evans era. So I can date myself again. And you know, she said it's the place where power, politics, and pussy kind of collide. And you know, it's a great town. So I wanted this to be a DC comic.
Now, so you do all these things. Are you also the artist and illustrator? Like, you just You do all of these creative
Oh,
things. So tell me about the team that's working on this with you. He said, no.
no, I am a writer. I do a lot of writing. So my collaborators for illustration are my collaborators from game development that we've developed. So if you've played Cupcake Diva back in the day or Silly Spooky Spirits, a lot of that stuff, you will recognize some of the design sense. But we spent a lot of time getting skin tone features right.
Nice.
And so I'm hoping that when you really start seeing some of the pages and seeing some of the faces that, it is an illustration, but, we spent actual time in trying to get the features correct.
Now, who's your target audience for this project?
I would like to think people who enjoy storytelling. This first issue is a little bit espionage. There's some sex involved, and there's shenanigans involved as well.
Yay,
And
shenanigans.
yeah, and so and so like if you were enjoying like how deep the rabbit hole goes, if you've seen any of the trash that's been on DC politics back in the day from the blue dress,
Yeah.
you will enjoy this comic.
Okay, so we got some adult material. It
is an adult. It is an adult comic. Like it's not intended for a younger audience. There's a vibrator in one of the panels.
Okay.
So
fair enough. So for the parents listening, this is a female empowerment comic. However, not for under 18. We would recommend.
Yes, there you go.
That's fair enough to say. All right.
I'm gonna put it's 17 plus that we're putting in Comixology.
Okay.
So
17 plus. Okay. Wow. So I'm just sitting here like to be honest with you. So I got a sneak peek of the comic. I saw a couple pages, and the artistry is beautiful. And I'm a comic book nerd. Like, this is my jam. I really think that the character is, from what I've seen, very well fleshed out. And it's very interesting that you have decided to, I want you to tell the listeners about how you decided on your launch date and how you're going to premiere this comic for release.
Yeah, so we were originally targeting Blerdcon to actually release. And New Comic Book Day, because we're now past Wednesday this month, is August 4th. So we will be printing Blerdcon special edition comics. And, we got permission to use Blerdcon, logo and iconography in the comic for the special edition. So it is indeed a special edition. And if you get that comic, the cover is 80-pound matte paper. It's gonna be really nice. Like, it's gonna be really nice.
So it's a real true collectible.
It
Very
is,
nice.
and it's a limited run. And once we're done printing them, we're not gonna print any more of those. So we plan to announce at Blerdcon next weekend, and we will have a promo comic that will have the first 8 pages in the comic, as well as the back cover, which is something special. And if you're at Blerdcon, you may recognize as something special if you've been to a couple Blerdcons. And so it'll be available for, real purchase on August 4th, but pre-order will start at Blerdcon.
And, so you're going to be at Blerdcon, I take it. You have always been a huge part of the Blerdcon community, and we thank you for your work, because if you guys are listening and you've attended Blerdcon, he's developed our app that got us and navigated us through con. You have been a huge sponsor for many of the events, because I remember that's the first time I saw Cupcake Diva. And, so, the work that you've done and the things that you're doing for our community are appreciated. So thank you.
No, thank you. I enjoy this stuff. I run on magic at Blerdcon.
Blerdcon is absolute magic. Like, you'll be exhausted, and then you see one of your favorite characters from your childhood and just lose it.
Yep.
So, and this will be our first con in a year and some change.
Oh man,
so
it's kind of weird.
It's gonna be a little different, high-fiving people from across the room. Like, how does this work? But We're going to make it work. We'll make it do what it do. If any of our listeners will be attending Blerdcon, we ask that you stop by, say hello, introduce yourself to Will. He's extremely friendly. And, just talk to him about his comic. Let's talk about what we can do to promote this in our community. Let people find out what's going on with it. So I do have a couple other questions for you, unrelated to the comic, because you do a lot of stuff. I'm just saying, you do a lot of stuff. What are you doing to take care of yourself? Like, what is your thing? Like, when you need to relax at the end of the day?
So at the end of the day, like for real, I just kind of veg out and read. Like for real. Like if it is just me. Also, I take long walks. And when I say long walks, I mean like 2 hour long, 4 mile walks. And I come up with a lot of ideas when I don't have headphones and I'm in nature. Like I just get a kick out of looking at the leaves, looking at the trees, looking at how, I don't know, the tech side, the structure of the elements that are around me, and just being appreciative of it. The other thing, I will admit this on camera. I admitted it today. Like I've been in therapy now. Like 2019 and 2020 were very challenging years for me. A number of different things went on with the company and all kinds of stuff. And so I needed a step back for perspective. I was going all the time. And, I've started living more in the moment now, and I've been able to shift my perspective, really thanks to therapy. So I will openly admit that.
Well, we here at Fabulous Fuckery are huge champions of therapy. So I'm excited that you are doing the things that you need to do to take care of yourself and still create amazing products for the world to absorb and participate in. So thank you for this. Like, this is such a cool project, and as soon as it drops, I will have all that information on the Fabulous Fuckery website and on social media. Where can we find you online? What else would you like us to know?
I'm getting better at the online thing. Even though I work in this field, I don't have the best online presence at all. Because even you pulled me up. It was like, look, I think you talked trash about me on Instagram about reaching out to people, because I was like, look, I don't know what this link is. It's like, what is this? And you said something like, yo, use that email address instead of social networking.
No, because you DM me, so I'm gonna tell you. So guys, DMing is the worst way to get in contact with me. Like, that's how we start the conversation. Are you in? I'm in. Then I dropped the email. Bam. So I sent him my link to my scheduling tool, and he's like, how do I know this isn't a bot? And I'm like, no, it's my scheduling tool. Like, this is how I get all the information. We go to the next level. So yeah, no, I'm horrible about DMs. Bad people live in DMs. And now on Instagram, they're doing something where sometimes my DMs will clear out the next day. So I'll go to log back in and say, oh yeah, I was talking to somebody about something, and then it's like, damn, it's gone. So if you put it in my inbox, it gives me accountability. I have to respond. It may take me a day or two, but I'm going to respond. We got this scheduled fairly quickly. You're a very busy man. I'm a busy man. We're going to get this together. But yeah, he just called me out. Yeah, I did. Like, I'm like, listen.
You talk trash about me. I didn't
talk trash about you. I just said, hey, send me a pitch. What is this? Like, what are you talking about? And then also, because you're not very chatty on social, I'm like, is this really Will? Who the hell? Let me call his wife.
I am, for a technology guy, I am very much in person. I am very much a people person when it comes to that stuff, and I'm like,
yeah.
And so yeah. But if you want to reach me, Will at willmapp.com is probably the best electronic channel to reach me at if you want to hit me up. Okay. And I do have the social networking handles. I got Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, but I'm rarely on Facebook at all today.
Facebook has changed. It's not as fun as it used to be when we first. No. It just no longer holds the allure for me. But no, I first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to talk to you about this comic. I am excited about it. As soon as I want to get my copy and get my hands on it when it's ready for Comic Book Day. Now, for Comic Book Day, when they purchase it, or is it somewhere locally in the DC area where people can pick it up?
So right now we are if you're I can't
you can't say where.
I can't. But right now, if you are in the DC, Annapolis area, we are working with those comic book shops, and if you buy comics there, you know which ones I'm talking about, to get Antidote in there. We've been at this now for several months. Like, if you want to talk about the process, Antidote started as a concept last year, and the way it started is I was in a Facebook group. And this was around Gamergate, if people remember that, and how one of the journalists who writes video games, she got doxxed. And I was in this group, and this group is a bunch of women in there, and she was like, who's looking out for us? Like, who's doxing the dudes who are doxing other people? Like, no one is calling them out. And so, I had these characters in my head, and it started to really coalesce, and I was like, I can do something with the character now. Like, I have the actual crystallized idea. And so then we went out and did character sketches. We did some character studies on what Antidote will look like. What's her skin tone? What's her body style? What kind of clothes does she wear? We're coming up with, and one of my friends is really into colognes and perfumes. That's what he does. And so we're trying to figure out, what kind of perfume does Antidote actually wear? And so we are
already in marketing.
Well, no. So this is all the character. This is all the character development.
If you know what Antidote smells like, then you can put that on a bottle. And I'm seeing, Marvel has the Spider-Man cologne for a little bit. So, Asterisk Comics presents Antidote. But I don't know, like, I feel like I was gonna melt when I sprayed myself with it, like. Like, what are we doing? What happened to me? But no, I am so excited for this for you. What you've done for the Black community to realize that they can be geeky, that they can be gamers. Now you're writing a comic book. You've already written a book. Several books. So for you to do this is amazing. Thank you for sharing your information about your imprint. And again, we can find you at willmapp.com. All right, guys. Well, we will see you at Blerdcon on July the
16th.
Is that
it starts July 16th?
Next week?
Yes. Next week.
I'm sorry, guys. I just zoned out for a moment because
it's next week.
So I will see you next
Awesome.
week.
I will see you there too. It's going to be great.
All right. And for everyone listening, you can find out more about Blerdcon on www.blerdcon.com. There'll be a link to the event on my website and on my social media. If you're stopping by, please say hello. I am doing a panel, actually a couple panels, but one panel for Fandom to Stardom and one panel for Blerdmon 101 on Saturday. We're going to be working between 1 and 3 p.m.
Oh, wow.
So hope to see you all soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, oh wow is right. But thank you.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. Seriously.
All right. Well, let's do this, and we will see you guys at Blerdcon.